isn't a crisis, it's a calling. And today we are breaking the silence around the mental traps that keep so many women stuck in burnout, perfectionism, and self doubt. I'm your host Shreya, and on Inner Peace Better Health, we are joined by Heike Yates, fitness expert, author, and fierce advocate for helping women reignite their spark. With over 4 decades of experience, she is here to help us rewrite the midlife narrative boldly, confidently, and on our own terms. So, welcome, Heike. I'm honored
Thank,
to have you on my show.
thank you, Shreya. I'm so excited to be here and share all about the midlife traps and how to not get trapped in those.
Yeah, you talk about like midlife mind traps. So, what are the common ones you see, and why do they grip so tightly?
You know, as we're aging, and I believe midlife is anywhere between 40, 45, up to even 80, because
Hmm.
as we're aging better or well as we now in our lives, women, and I did a survey just recently of what people think midlife is. And some people said 35 to 50, and others were 45 to 60, and I'm 64 years old. And I do not feel like a senior. I still feel like I'm in the middle of my life, in the prime of my life. And I think a lot of women feel the same way, but they're getting stuck. They're working on things or believing things that we've been taught by our mothers, by our grandmother, by our aunts, by our society in particular. And when we're looking at social media, we see all the beauty products and all the hair things, and everybody tells us, especially in the fitness and nutrition and beauty industry, how we're flawed, how we are not beautiful enough, how much wrinkles we have, and that we should fix this and fix that and fix this.
Mm,
And so it creates what I describe in my book, Pursue Your Spark, initially as a gap, the gap where you are and where you want to be, whether that gap has been created by the media or even by yourself, because you feel like you can't keep up with what's going on around you. And you look at your girlfriends and you say, "How I want what they have," but they're totally different people. And so you're going from a gap, you're sitting there and you can see there's something disconnected, and then you look at the trap. And the trap is once you get over the gap or into the gap, it automatically and so smoothly leads us into the trap. And one of them is a big one, the all or nothing trap. The
yeah.
all or nothing trap. And many, I'm sure, of your listeners can relate to this. If I don't do all of it, it's not good enough. If I don't give 100% and the product and the result is not um, the way I envision it, it's not good enough. So we're putting all in. And if it doesn't turn out the way it is, then we don't believe we are deserving. It's nothing is I put all the work in. And when you think about women who want to get in shape. Let's say their nest is empty, they had children, and now they're saying, "Oh, I got all this time, and now I'm getting in shape. I finally don't have to go to school and don't have to do after school activities. Now I go to work or not to work, depending on the age. And then I'm going to do what's really good for me." And then you sit there and you say, "Oh, what am I going to do? Oh, I try A, B, C, and D all at once. Let's do them all because now I have time and this is going to work out." And from my experience with over 40 years of coaching women from all walks of life and from all age groups, it's overwhelming, which is a different trap, but it's the all or nothing. So I'm doing everything. And then we're disappointed when we are not seeing the results that we hoped for, that we get stuck in this trap. And
Mhm.
now what? And we feel actually worse after our all of our efforts than before. And that is a really one of the really big trap for women in midlife.
Yes, that's so beautiful, and thank you for sharing this. Yes. So,
Thank you.
is there one you had to personally in your way through?
When I started out, I never thought that I was going to be a fitness expert, not in a million years. And as I started to grow and learn more and took more courses and became certified in so many modalities, I was like, I'm the champion. I got all of this. I can teach water aerobics, step aerobics, spinning, stretching, yoga, Pilates. I can do it all. And I felt, which is another trap, the overwhelm trap. I felt I had so much on my plate suddenly that I could do, that I could provide for my clients. And I felt that it was just, where do I start? Where do I go first? Should I do this program? Should I do that program? And at one point, I was teaching over 15 classes a week, and I would just run from one studio to the next studio. And then I teach all these classes, and I'd be super exhausted at the end of the day. And back then, I still had little children, and I wanted to make sure that I had time with them. But I was just so wiped out. I didn't take care of myself that I had to really sit down and say, all right, is that worth it? Because of course, I was a single mom. And I was like, I need all that money. I need to pay for the rent and the car insurance and the kids' foods and activities. How can I do this if I don't uh, overload myself with so many classes? How can I make ends meet? And then I really had to be honest with myself and said, it's not all or nothing. It's look for the jobs that you like, the studios you like to go to, and then ask for a raise. You deserve more money for what you're teaching. And especially in the fitness industry and as women, we are oftentimes overlooked when it comes to promotions or raises. And when that's also one of my career moves. I was a director at a fitness club for aerobics, and I fought hard for my teachers to get a raise, even if it was just $1. But asking for what you deserve and what you've worked so hard for is something we all need to step up for too, with confidence. And that's also what my book Pursue Your Spark is all about, is confidence in overcoming those traps, that we're not stuck. And so I had to I'm the coach here, right? I had to tell myself to step up, sweat bullets, I can do it. And I went in and I did it. And they gave me a 50-cent raise back then. So it was better than nothing. But I was proud of myself that I stepped up for what I needed and what I deserved. And I didn't have to be stuck in the all or nothing. So I reduced my classes to 10 a week, which is still a lot. But it's a start. And that's what I want women in midlife to know. We have to start somewhere. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yes, that's so true. And it's wild how beliefs we pick on the shows unless we call them out.
Yeah, we're taking on so much, and we don't realize that we're taking on that much because this is what we think we should be doing. And I am very much against the shoulds. I think everybody needs to do what feels good to them, what feels right to them, and not what we were told that we should do. And that we play roles in our society. And depending on the age group, whether you're a mother, a grandmother, whether you're working or you're raising your children, it is important to get to know yourself. It's important to understand where you are, what your personal needs are, and how to get out of those traps. Because the traps don't just appear, they seem to be just normal. The all or nothing trap is normal. The perfectionist trap is normal to us because we don't know any different. But then when we really sit down and think about it and maybe take my book and read through the chapters and say, wow, I have the freedom to choose to do things differently. I do not have to be, let's talk about the perfectionist trap for a second. I don't have to be a perfectionist. It doesn't all have to be perfect, ducks in a row. Everything's lined up, which stresses many people out. And some, it gives comfort to know what's happening. But then when you think about your perfectionist, what happens if things are not working out? When you encounter roadblocks, is your whole world blowing up? Or can you sit with yourself and say, okay, I need to think about this. I don't need to react instantly. And I don't have to feel bad about myself as I tackle this perfectionism trap. I'm okay. I'm doing the best I can, and I will not be judged by others to feel bad or make myself feel bad of what I do, what I can do, and what I can't do. And that is, I think, such a freedom and liberation for so many women to know that you have a choice, that you do not have to stay in those confined roles your entire life and just do. I think everybody deserves happiness and a good life, no matter what age or no matter what sex you are. But the perfectionism trap is also, again, something that we just recognize as normal. And all the traps I talk about in my book are perceived as, oh, this is just how it is. Oh, this is normal. This is, it will never change. And we have the power to sit down with ourselves, think about, reflect on what's going on, and see clearly what it is that we can do. And I always start with baby steps. That's always you hear me always talk about baby steps. Something that's really small, that's not noticeable at first. So when we talk about the perfectionism trap, I am a planner, Shreya. I love to plan everything. So my brother is coming to the United States where I live to visit after years and years of not being here and visiting. I'm super excited. And I sent him a list of things and like, let's do some of these things. And he sends me an email back saying, oh, great. I will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And he comes in September. So this is 2.5 months away from at the moment right now. And I'm already planning. And I had to literally stop myself to not overplan and wait and said, okay, let's wait at least until the end of August. So I have a clearer picture of what he really wants to do, what is possible, and not stress myself out now to plan the trip for him. So the perfectionist in me is still a work in progress.
Yes, that's so beautiful. Perfectionism head on. So, why do you think that it thrives in midlife?
I think it thrives, which is a funny word to use, to thrive. These traps or perfectionism grows or expands, I like to say, because thrive to me is a positive word. Perfectionism is not positive in many ways, but thrive is just like, yes, we're moving on. We are overwhelmed by our roles, number one. When we look at where many women are around 50, we're the sandwich generation. Our kids may still be in college. So we have that
Yes.
situation that we need to keep an eye on. And then we have our jobs. I mean, I'm working full time. I have two businesses that I work. I have a Pilates brick and mortar studio, and I have Pursue Your Spark, my online program. So my two businesses, I'm still working. I have my parents who I'm originally from Germany. My parents live in Germany and they're alive and well over there, but they're aging too. They're in their mid 80s and they need more attention as well. And on top of that, I have two grandkids, which are super cute, of course. And so I have all these responsibilities and roles that put me sometimes in a precarious situation when I think of myself as I live in the States, my parents live in Germany. It's hard to know what they need for care. And I can't fly over often to make sure that they do what's best for them, that their health is okay, that they're going to the doctors. So fortunately, my brother is there. He can take some of the slack of that, but it still is, when I call my mom, it takes forever for her to really tell me what's going on because she doesn't want me to worry. And I say, well, but if I don't know, I can't help you. And then I need to, of course, my podcast, I have Pursue Your Spark podcast
Mm.
as well. And so you have all these jobs and you try to be giving to all these different jobs. I want to spend time with my grandkids, but they live in the Netherlands. So I can't just go across the street like we used to. I grew up in a very small town. You just walk across the street and visited your friends and your grandparents. Well, everybody is so scattered around the world now that it really is difficult to help everybody and be there for everyone, which you want to be perfect. You want to help out, but you only can do so much. And that can put women too in a sense where they feel not enough.
Mm.
Another trap. We're hitting on all the traps as we're continuing our conversation, Shreya.
That
Oh,
is
the
the most beauty.
it and it's when you look and when wrote it in my book, I thought about it in that progression. What's the worst one? What's like the most one that everybody goes, oh my God. And what triggers? What is that trap triggering
Mm.
as a next one? And the not enough is one in the row where you're trying to help everybody, including yourself, and nothing is ever enough. Nothing you do is enough. My parents complain that I don't call often enough. My son says I should visit the grandkids more often. I need to work on my business and my book. And then I want to also, I have a husband too. Let's not forget about him. He's part of that whole equation as well. And so the not
Yes.
enough trap is definitely another
Mm.
one that women in midlife, in particular, because of those roles, tackle as well. And the aging process.
Mm.
We all are getting older. And then, Shreya, when you look at social media and you see all these beautiful bodies and the beautiful hair, and
Mm.
you think, oh, she is my age. Here's that word again, I should be like her. I should be as fit as this person. And why am I not losing weight? And why am I not having big, bulky arms? And why am I not glowing with my hair and my skin? And so you feel, because of that influence, you feel again not enough in the lifestyle, not enough in the visual that you get. And instead of feeling not enough, again, we need to sit with ourselves and say, no, I don't need to be like them. I don't need to look like them. I'm me. And I just had this conversation with one of my Instagram followers, and I call her my friend because we've had so many conversations
Mm.
about the not enough. Even we never met. She lives in California, but she's like, Heike, can you help me with? I want to lose weight. And I said, okay, what's going on? And so we had a back and forth, and finally said, she's number one, she's super strong. She is horseback riding. She does kickboxing. She's doing Pilates. And she told me just yesterday she's doing Pilates for 13 years already. She rides her horse and she is very fit. And she says, but I don't see it. And I said, well, look at your mom. What does your mom look like? What's the body type of your mom? And she's like, well, I look pretty much like your mom, my mom. And I said, look, you are enough. You don't need to follow this person over there and start dieting like crazy and over exercising and again feel bad about yourself when you're not enough, when you don't reach that level of somebody else. And she was like, you're right, Heike, you're right. And I said, look at how strong you are, the things you do. And she's older than I am. I said, the things you do are unbelievable, incredible.
Mm.
And so I had to talk with her about it. what it really is that she's looking for, whether this image on social media or her own health and her own wellness. And I say, well, how do you feel? She says, I feel great. I'm like, then that's it. Let's stop that conversation about the not enough trap
Yeah.
and let's pursue what makes us happy and healthy, most important.
Yes. That shift from striving to living feels like a radical act of self-respect. And this is a wonderful conversation with you. And if after this my listeners want to connect with you, then what's the best way?
The best way to is to literally go online and Google or find my name, Heike Yates, Heikeyates, and you will find my website. You find me on all social media handles. I'm everywhere on Instagram, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, or you look at Pursue Your Spark, which is my podcast and also my book, the title of my book that's coming out. And I'd love to connect with you and hopefully have a conversation with you about what your needs are, how you want to escape some traps that you didn't even know were existing.
Yes, that's so beautiful. And I will make sure to attach all the details and links below so that the listeners can find them easily and get in touch with you and have a conversation with you, because you are a wonderful person, and thank you for sharing all your knowledge, your experiences, your stories with us. This just make this conversation so beautiful. And to all my listeners, midlife isn't a dead end, it's a launch pad. And as Heike reminds us today, the real trap is believing you have to shrink to fit in a role you have outgrown. So reclaim your time, your strength, your spark, because the second act is your design. So until next time, stay bold, stay kind, and stay late from within.